C. The mind of the Church as it appears from the Synaxaria. It is a fact that the great fathers and teachers of the Church fought for the purity of her Orthodox faith. They combined a personal experience of deification with excellent secular education. They had the prerequisites for interpreting the faith and for formulating dogmas. St. Athanasius the Great, St. Basil the Great, St. Gregory the Theologian, St. Cyril, and other fathers in later ages bore the burden of the struggle against heresies. However, for the sake of simpler people, God provided that great miracles should occur, by which means the Orthodox might be strengthened in the faith, while well-intentioned heretics might return in repentance. The miracle of St. Spiridon at the First Ecumenical Synod is well known, as is the miracle of St. Euphemia, the great martyr, at the Fourth Ecumenical Synod. Similar miraculous events are preserved in the Synaxaria. The mere fact that the Synaxaria are an integral part of the worship of the Church and that the Orthodox are nourished by them is enough to show the great importance that they have for the topic at hand. To what extent do the non-Chalcedonians have the same faith as the Orthodox Church? The Orthodox Christians of the 5th and 6th centuries and the Orthodox Christians of today, as members of the same one holy Church of Christ, cannot have a divergent attitude regarding the orthodoxy of the non-Chalcedonians. The following examples are very significant. Saint Savas the Sanctified, whom God honored with special signs of his grace, such as the incorruption and fragrance of his holy relics even to this day, judged with lucidity that the faith of the non-Chalcedonians constituted a heresy. In his life, there is mention of his visit to the palace of Justinian, during which the Empress Theodora sought to receive his blessing to have a child. The saint wished her victories over the barbarians and worldly glory, but despite her repeated entreaties, he did not consent to bless her to have a child, solely because Theodora openly favored the monophysitism of the non-Chalcedonians. In the Spiritual Meadow of John Moskos, written precisely in the period that we are concerned with, there are more than 10 stories which refer to the relations between Orthodox and non-Chalcedonians, and which attest to the unorthodox faith of the latter. We shall briefly present certain of these stories. Chapter 26. The monk Theophanes, a Nestorian, had difficulty rejecting the heresy of Nestorius, as he was advised to do by Abba Kyriakos. Everyone says that salvation rests in his own confession, protested Theophanes. But he humbly sought the prayer of Kyriakos to reveal the truth to him. After the prayer of Abba Kyriakos, he received an answer. In a vision, he saw all the heretics in a dark and foul-smelling place: Nestorius, Theodore, Eutyches, Apollinarius, Evagrius, Didymus, Dioscoros, Severos, Arius, Origen, and several others. Following this vision, he returned to communion in the mysteries of the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. Chapter 30. The monk Isidore, who passed his whole monastic life in unceasing tears, recounted the cause of his mourning. As a layman, he belonged together with his wife to the heresy of Severos. One time, when he was desecrating the Holy Communion of the Orthodox by tossing it out of the window into the mud, he saw a thunderbolt fall and carry away the divine communion. This was the cause of his conversion. Chapter 36. Patriarch Ephraim of Antioch besought a certain Severian stylite with many entreaties and admonitions to return to the church. The latter asked him for a sign, that the two of them should go into the fire. The truth would be on the side of him who was preserved. With great humility, the patriarch sought to evade the venture, but finally undertook it for the salvation of the monk. The stylite remained awestruck and refused to enter the fire. The patriarch then threw his omophorion into the flames. After 3 hours, the omophorion was drawn out in one piece. The stylite anathematized Severos and communed with the patriarch Ephraim. Chapter 46. Abba Kyriakos saw in a vision the Lady Theotokos accompanied by St. John the Theologian and St. John the Baptist. When he invited them to bless his cell, the Lady Theotokos replied sternly, "You have my enemy in your cell, and yet you ask me to go inside? The reason for this was he had a book in his cell, in the concluding pages of which appeared 2 discourses of Nestorius. He immediately threw it away. Chapters 48 and 49. 2 official political figures, Cosmiani and Gevemer, were prevented from venerating the life-giving tomb of Christ, the former by the Lady Theotokos, and the latter by a mysterious ram. Only when, on the advice of the clergy of the All-Holy Tomb, they renounced their heresy, they were followers of Severos, could they venerate it. Chapter 79. Portions of the Divine Communion of the Orthodox were found in the house of a wealthy layman who belonged to the heresy of Severos. They had been preserved for a year in the closet of an Orthodox servant. The master of the house wanted to destroy them. However, he was completely surprised to see that ears of grain had germinated on the portions. In response, he communicated the miracle to the holy bishop Dionysius, and the whole population of the city saw the ears of grain. At that time, many people returned to the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. This is the experience of the Church. It is worth asking how it is possible for the same Church, which then lived through these miracles, can now believe that the non-Chalcedonians always preserve the same authentic Orthodox Christological faith and the uninterrupted continuity of the apostolic tradition.